All right, we're 2 days removed from UFC 259, Adesanya Blachowicz. That was a hell of a card, top to bottom, for sure. Prelims, early prelims, very early prelims, and the regular prelims were excellent. We had, 10? 10 prelim fights, and then we had the 5 on the main card, highlighted by the 3 title fights, headlined by Adesanya Blachowicz. I would say this would be our recap, but it's probably more fitting to call it a kneecap, given what our boy Petr did. We'll jump into that. I guess let's start with the main event, Andrew. Adesanya Blachowicz. When we did our picks, I said Adesanya. I wanted Yan, but I figured Adesanya would take it. I thought speed would be the factor. You took Blachowicz, and you talked about his jiu-jitsu background, and that's ultimately what did give it to him. And he outstruck Izzy, but he had 3 takedowns, a little over 7 minutes control time. He possibly showed maybe Adesanya needs to get a little bit bigger, that he can't just walk in there around 200 pounds and be able to handle at least someone like Young.
I mean, I don't know if Adesanya getting bigger is going to change anything about that, because just watching a lot of the sort of post-fight interviews and a lot of the talk that's been going on around this fight, it seems like most people wanted to see Adesanya beat Yan and then go on to fight John Jones. Mm-hmm. But I don't even know if that's something realistic. That's something that could realistically happen at this point, considering just the sheer difference in size, and not just in terms of muscle mass and in terms of height or whatever, but in terms of, they say, "Oh, I'm big boned." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's definitely a difference in bone density, and there's a difference in somebody's just genetic structure that you can tell. Like when Yan was standing in front of Adesanya, it was like he was completely blocked out of view. You couldn't see Adesanya
there was at
behind
one point
him.
He had him against the fence, and we were saying, you're like, because Izzy was slightly angled out, but if they were both straight like this, Izzy was just gone. You just see Yan. You would just think Yan is standing in front of a fence.
Dude, yeah, it looked like a wall was just erected right there, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that I don't know how much bulking up is going to make a difference when it comes to that. And speaking to the ground game a bit more, it wasn't shocking to me that the minute it got to the ground, Blachowicz was dominating the way that he was. For starters, Izzy doesn't really have any ground combat experience, at least.
Hey, he's a purple belt, man.
Oh, sure, that's fine, but you're going up against somebody
newly crowned.
That's professional at that, insofar as we've seen. And on top of that, you add in the bone density thing and the mass differential there, and there was no way. The minute that Yan sat on Izzy, there was no escaping that. I was thinking maybe Izzy might be able to burst out of it, but Yan.
He did once or twice, but ultimately it added up. Yan just kept wearing him, and the last 2, he just wasn't moving. What was it? I know round 5 ended with Yan on top. I think round 4 ended with Yan on top of him too, if I'm not mistaken. So, and that was the thing I was thinking to myself. I'm like, if it does go to the ground, though, and we may have talked about it in last week's show. If it went to the ground, then I was like, then it's completely different. But it was just a matter of, can he get him to the ground? Because Izzy's takedown defense, percentage-wise, had been pretty good up to this point. But Yan was 60%. He went 3 for 5, and the last 2 were, they all were, but especially the last one or the last 2 were very well timed, like so fluid. The way he took him down, it was just seamless, absolutely seamless. And then at that point, you're like, well, I think Yan yesterday probably would have weighed 10 to 15 pounds more than Izzy, if not 20.
Sure.
Because Yan was saying he wanted to be at about 219, 220 Saturday. I think they were asking Izzy after the fight or before the fight, like, what did you weigh in the ring or something? I think he was saying probably like 200, 201. So possibly 20-pound difference. To be conservative, maybe it's 10. So let's say 10 to 20-pound difference. Then you have him on the ground and you're sitting on top of him like that. Because Yan wasn't doing too much. He did end the fight he started kind of wailing him a little bit the last few seconds. He got some shots on him. But when he was on him, it's not like he was, working, trying to get an armbar or get a choke or anything. He was just more using his weight. He did get some elbows and he got some shots in, but it wasn't like a ground and pound effort. It was just more, let me tire him out.
I don't know if he could have, because Izzy's not a small guy by any means. So even though Izzy may not have had the ability to work on the ground the way that Yan could have. It may have been taking Yan all he could have just to keep Izzy pinned the way that he was keeping him pinned.
Possibly.
So even trying to go for some submissions or trying to work on the ground may have been difficult for Yan. So he figured, all right, you know what, then I'm just going to sit here. And it kind of flashes me back to, I want to say it was Lawrence. Was it Lawrence from last week that just kind of?
Oh yeah, yep, you're right.
And he just kind of,
yeah.
I think it was Lawrence, and he just laid there like that, and it makes you wonder, like it maybe because it's hard to tell when you're watching, through a television screen or through a monitor. But it's very possible that Izzy was exerting, enough pressure to make Yan think, okay, if I let up, I might lose this position. So he chose not to.
Yeah, that's entirely possible too. Like we were saying, the first couple of times, at least first couple takedown attempts, or the first one didn't get him down. Then when he got him down, Izzy kind of quickly slipped out. And Izzy was saying during his post-fight press conference, he was saying, the first couple I was able to wiggle out, but then I think he realized it, so he tightened up when he got me down and didn't really have much room to move. And props to Izzy. We talked about it last week. We're not like the biggest Izzy enthusiasts by any means. Yeah. Kind of his attitude definitely rubs us both the wrong way, but he handled it. He handled it well right immediately after the fight, like when the two are in there kind of through a miscommunication, laughing at each other, and then in the post-fight press conference too. So basically for me, how I ended up concluding it with Izzy, it seems like it matters who he's fighting. So if it's someone that just pisses him off or he's just trolling with them, then he just comes off super obnoxious. But if it's someone where Yan was not engaging in any kind of trash talking, Yan isn't really that guy, or at least we haven't seen it. So given that Yan was pretty quiet about it, Izzy was pretty quiet about it already in the lead up. Not really any banter back and forth. So, and he was humble about it. So, if I'm going to lose to someone, I'm glad I lost to someone like that. For his first MMA loss, he's lost in kickboxing, and he had a loss in boxing too. But
the word class was thrown out.
Yes. Yeah. And he mentioned that, and he's spot on, man. Yan, this was at least his second straight fight as an underdog. It's probably been more. And he even said it during his interview after that. It's like, maybe starting the next fight, I won't be the underdog. And if it's against Teixeira, I can't imagine he does end up an underdog, but he's right, man. I picked against him this time. The last time we did pick him last time. So last two times. Yeah. The last two times as in UFC 259. And when he fought Reyes, you had him as well.
Well, it's funny you're saying that because Dana even said that when he was putting the belt on Yan, he turned back to look at Dana and he's like, "You don't believe in me," And I can see where Jan's coming from, man, because everybody wanted Adesanya to win. Let's not beat around the bush here. Everybody wanted that for whatever reason, either because they wanted to see the Adesanya v. Jones, or whether because they like Adesanya or they hate Blachowicz. I don't think anybody could hate him. So
no, I think it's more like it's just more Adesanya has a lot more fans. He's pushed forward more.
They're riding the hype
leading
train.
Up to this. Yeah, it's more Izzy's the more marketable guy for that same reason that we're saying he's kind of obnoxious, is because he's out there, he's talking. Yan isn't. Yan's not going out. And also, you have to factor, especially in the States, there's that language barrier too. Like,
for sure,
you can understand Yan, but it's a more aggressive accent, so it might be harder for people to understand. Whereas Izzy has an accent too, but not as, maybe not as difficult thing. So marketing wise, I think it's just kind of easy to push Izzy forward. I think Yan knows that too. And they asked Yan about that comment you just alluded to about Dana, and because Dana, during his thing, said the same. He's like, he's looking at me saying, "You don't believe in me." I'm like, how the hell do I not believe in you, man?
Yeah. Well, if you believed in him, you wouldn't match him up with Adesanya. Is my gut on that one, dude.
Well, no, Jan's all like, no, I wasn't saying you don't believe me. I was asking, like I think it was a question like, you believe in me now or something like.
Okay.
Wasn't, and he's like,
miscommunication.
There's nothing behind it. Yeah, he's like, there's nothing behind it.
Speaking of miscommunications, remember how we were watching and we're like, what are they laughing about? And Herb was getting in on the smiles and all that. They cleared out the noise and whatnot, and there was a clip of them talking, and I guess Adesanya said something about a butter guard. And
and
Yan looks over, he's like, bodyguard? I will be your bodyguard. It's like, oh man, that's not what I'm asking.
And then Izzy's all like, huh? He's like, say that again? Because he said that, and then he's all like, well, how much are you paying your bodyguard or something? And he's like, what? It's like, your bodyguard. He's like, oh no, I said past the guard, or butter guard or whatever. And then Yan started laughing. that was funny. But you could tell, man. I mean, Yan looked way more exhausted. Izzy looked tired too, but not nearly as much. And he was saying in that same clip you were referencing that Izzy was saying his legs were fatigued, which is interesting. I wonder kind of interesting to see that his legs got. He said he's like, energy wise, I felt fine. My legs were tired. He threw 36 leg kicks, landed 29 of them. I don't know if that's necessarily why. Maybe could have been. I mean, he was also on his back a pretty good amount too, but maybe trying to get out.
Either way, I agree with you. I think Yan, especially for a 38-year-old, but him lasting 5 rounds was impressive, man. Because I could feel that he was starting to fade maybe, and towards the end of the 4th, and going into the 5th, it looked like Izzy had that round, and Yan got that takedown, and that was it pretty much. But that was my impression of it, at least. So I thought that Yan held on really well. I was kind of concerned going into that 5th round, but the strategy that I thought he would execute is what ended up happening. So
yeah, and that I'm trying to the only last thing that I can think of that I did want to mention that we were both confused about, because you had some Mountain Dew on it, I had Mountain Dew on Izzy, you had it on Yan. I didn't know where this fight was gonna go. Like once it ended, I didn't know what the scoring was gonna be, because through the first round I thought Izzy won. The second round I didn't know. The third round I didn't know. Then the 4th and 5th I thought Yan won. So for me, I was like, I don't know who's winning. You guys were like, no, I think Yan won. It was probably like three rounds to 2. Well, the judges' scorecards came out.
I gave the first 2 to Izzy. The 3rd and the 4th I gave to Yan. And the 5th, like I said, I thought Izzy was winning that at the start. And then Yan, with the takedown and the control time, just took that one. But I had it at, 2 for Adesanya, the first 2, and 3 and 4 for Blachowicz.
Yeah, so what ends up being weird is not only does every judge give 4 rounds to Yan, so the most they gave Izzy was 1 round. Man. 2 judges gave, was it 2 judges? We have one here. Sorry, 1 judge gave, so there was a 10-8 given by 2 different judges. 10-8 by one judge was round 5. They gave it 10-8 to Yan. Actually, the other judge also gave it 10-8 to Yan.
There was no 10-8 final round fight at all.
And none of them scored the first round for Izzy, which I think we both said we thought Izzy had that. You said the second round too. Only 1 judge gave the second round to Izzy. And then another judge gave round 3 to Izzy. 2 judges gave round 3 to Izzy. One judge gave round 2 to Izzy. The rest were given to Yan. And then 2 gave him a 10-8.
It literally doesn't surprise me.
I don't agree with that.
No, how can you, dude? Anybody who was watching that fight is going to disagree with that. But it doesn't surprise me, considering earlier on during the event, we saw some pretty interesting scores from possibly the same judges. So what was it? There was a 30-25 on one of the fights.
That was against, was that the Elliott one, or was that a different one?
I don't even remember, man. But hold on, let me see. I actually had it written down in my notes.
Yeah, I've got the scorecard here.
Yeah, that was Elliott, 30-25.
Yeah, that one I was like, I had a 10-8 in there. Like one judge had a 30-26. I felt that was good, but I don't know about 2 10-8s.
No, these judges are insane, man. And either way, something needs to be done about them, because it could potentially end up ruining a fight, man.
Yeah, there was an interesting proposition. One of the reporters was asking Izzy, like, how would he feel if, like, in between rounds, the fighters were informed of what the judges had scored? So, like, if you're in round 1, round 1 ended, they're like, hey, man, you're down 10-9, or you're down 10-8. And then Izzy was kind of like, that could be a good idea. And then I guess in Invicta, they have it where the corner is informed what the score is, and then from there the corner is then the onus is on the corner whether to let their fighter know what the score is or to keep it to themselves. And then once that was relayed to Izzy, he's like, you know what, I like that. Like, maybe he's like, that sounds like a good idea to me. And I thought about it, I was like, that does seem like it could be a good thing for the fighters. If it's like you tell the corner, and the corner will know their fighters. Like, okay, based on how I know their psyche and how they're looking, maybe I should let them know that they're up 2 rounds right now, or maybe I shouldn't let them know this round. Let me find out what the next round is, and then I can let them know. It doesn't have exactly to do with the scoring that we were discussing, but maybe approach-wise for fighters, because we see it where certain fighters think they're up two rounds to one or something, and the scorecard, they read the score at the end, they lose, and like, what the hell? How the hell did I lose that? Because then you maybe see an alteration, but who knows? I mean, I feel like you can make a case on both sides, but that was kind of an interesting question that was brought up, and I was kind of wondering, what could that look like if that was to be entertained? I don't know. I probably won't be, but at least not for the foreseeable future, but it was an interesting proposition.
It's funny you're bringing this up because I had this thought today, and this is a complete aside, so please don't beat me up that hard for it. But like, I was even thinking, man, get rid of that clock that's cage side.
The DraftKings clock?
Yeah, like to me as a fighter, you know, like, I get it. You want that time to reset, and you want to be able to see what you have to do when you want to do it and all that. But like, I think it would be so interesting to sort of not know. Because let's say, and the compound this not only on top of removing that clock, but getting rid of those little breaks too, man. Do a 10-minute or a 15-minute continuous combat fight, no clock, no nothing. You fight until that guy's either down or time runs out. You know, like, how interesting would that be, man? I think it would completely change the dynamic of it. I mean, that's a given, but I feel like you get some really vicious fights out of something like that. And it's interesting to me that, you know, that's not done. They kind of are doing like the boxing thing, but maybe it was done that way in the past and they changed it.
Yes, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, like the early days of UFC, it was like at least the main ones, I think, was like a 30-minute fight. Like, go.
That's
awesome. Just like 30 minutes and you go, something like that. I don't know if they all were, or if it was just like the main events where it was like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. So there was at some point the UFC did have it that way. When they switched out of that, I don't know. I'm fine with the rounds being split. The clock, I didn't think was like that clock. I don't remember if it was always, has it always been there, and I just didn't notice it. That was the
first time I noticed it.
They were highlighting it, and it definitely seemed like people that were like designated to go tweet about this, because they just struck a deal with DraftKings to be like their official betting partner. And then no one's going to tweet, hey man, that DraftKings clock in the back over there looks pretty good. It looked like a standard like recreational gym timer clock. It just slapped on the DraftKings logo. It looks like the same timer that they use when I used to play basketball. It just didn't say DraftKings on it. I was like, chill out. It's not that big a deal. Whatever. That's Izzy and Yan. And the other thing we were saying, just the final one on that we were saying during the fight was like, by no means was it fireworks. It was not a slow-paced fight. It did kind of start slow like we expected, but the pace throughout was a much more calculated by both men. Sure. But it wasn't boring. Like, it wasn't like a do something. It was more like you're like kind of sitting on the edge of your seat, like, okay, who's going to respond with what next, or who's going to act next. It was a very sound fight technically by both guys, more so by Yan, I would say, but still very, very, very tactical.
The tension in because we saw this live at a bar in Vegas, and the tension in the room was nuts, man. I think that was the first time we've seen an event pre-COVID, like live in a scenario, in an environment like that. And man, everybody was quiet. There wasn't really much talking going on. It was everybody staring at that screen, and that was awesome to experience. So, since we're on the subject of final things, I did want to point out that another thing that you and I were noticing is how Yan was checking those leg kicks. Fairly decently, man. He's kind of started to stop, maybe towards the end of the second, but it was almost every time as he would throw a kick, Yan's leg would be right there to check it, and that was impressive to see as well. Just how aware he was of the fact that he needed to be careful of that. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, it was impressive to notice him and notice him noticing those leg kicks coming in.
Izzy acknowledged it too during his interview. He said Yan checked a couple of those, but Yan was saying, he's like, my leg hurts during his post conference. He's like, he has the strength. He's like, my leg hurts, but he did check it, man. Imagine if he didn't check him, what situation that leg would have been. But the timing looked good on him too. So props to him. Well-deserved victory. It's looking like it's going to be him and Glover next. They asked Dana. Dana kind of acknowledged it. That's probably going to be it. Yan also said, he's like, I would like it to be Glover. Glover 100% deserves it. This fight should have been Glover. Obviously, this one was the one that's going to sell the the buys for the pay-per-view. But on merit, Glover deserved this fight 100%. So, and Yan said he wants at least 6 months off. So maybe we see that fight closer to the end of the year. I don't know if Glover's going to sit around and wait, though. I mean, it would be safer for if he does sit around and wait versus possibly go out there, fight, get hurt, or lose, and then who knows then. So next time we see Yan will be later this year, maybe closer to the end of the year, if even that. Who knows? He just had a baby, so let's see how he wants to approach that. That was our main event. Entertaining fight, like we said, much more tactical, not as many bombs getting thrown, but still a very good fight. Prior to that, we had Amanda Nunes with a cakewalk against Megan Anderson. I don't think we really need to spend that much time on this.
What is there to say, man? Like, everybody knew it. It's unfortunate because it goes back to what we were saying. Maybe that division needs to be just removed, man, because she's insane. She's insane. Yeah. She's that good of an athlete. That's it. I have nothing else to say about that. Like,
2 strikes landed for Megan.
In my notes here, I just put 3 letters, LOL.
Yeah. So, I remember we were watching and you're like, hold on, man, let me write down my notes on this before we continue. Now we saw you typing, you just went. That was it. And yeah, I was accurate, man. I mean, she just got in there just before you knew it, the fight was done. And I took the over on the rounds. It was like set at 1.5. I was like, I mean, Felicia Spencer got her ass kicked for 25 minutes. And I was like, I don't know, man. Megan Anderson's way bigger. Over under 1.5 on that. It's a 5-rounder. I was like, it'll probably go over. It's done in like 2 minutes.
It was her. It was her height that played against her, man. It let Nunes get that armbar in.
Yeah. Oh, that was beautiful, man. She had her throat wrapped up with her legs and then just grabbed that arm, and I was like, oh man, it's over. But the result was by no means a surprise. Again, I won't go into it as much detail as I did last week, but I still have my answer, my question of, is she good for this sport, man? She's so far above ahead, at least for those 2 divisions. She's not fighting everywhere, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, what the hell are these women fighting for at this point? But I talked about that more last week. I won't go into it again, but my question was not answered. If anything, that question, I feel like is that much more validated in my mind. Like, I don't know how much of a plus she is when these women have absolutely no reason to be fighting outside of their slight paycheck versus, but I don't know, man. Well, props to her. Now we go to the controversial fight. The controversial fight of 259, the fight that I was looking forward to the most, that you were looking forward to as well, but this was why I wanted to, what I was excited about most, and God damn it. I think that sums it up. God damn it, Petr. Why? This ended in almost the 5th. It was close to the end of the 4th round. At this point, people have seen it. If you had him down, Aljo was down, and Petr just blasts him with a knee, loses the fight, loses his belt. And after hearing both of those guys speak, neither was expecting it to be the result of that knee being a disqualification with the title being turned over. It seemed like both guys expected the decision to be a no contest. At least Aljo claimed he didn't expect that he was going to get the win.
I don't know about that because, like,
he said that. I don't know, take it for his word or not, but that's what he said.
He was pulling a Neymar on that one, dude. Like, that was a really fine act there, and it's funny because some people were pointing it out too. If you go look at his Twitter bio, he's literally got actor in there. So
that's funny.
Like, I get it. Okay, you got need, but what was all the drama after the fact? You know, like, it's going to take you a bit to recover, sure, whatever. It didn't look like he was that hurt, man. I got to be honest. And people are going to flame me for this one, too.
He was chilling after. They took him to the hospital. He was fine. He was chilling after, taking pictures, doing videos.
No. But here's the thing. You can not feel the effects from a concussion for days later, man. You could be partying with your buddies and not know that you have a concussion. You know what I mean? Like, it's possible.
Yeah.
We should get a football player on and talk about CT and see if that's the case.
I don't know, man. I thought this was very clearly at that point. Had that round ended, I thought it was a clear 4-0. And then, weirdly enough, I think I sent this to you last night, or the night of the fight. No, I think it was last night. So let's look at the judges' scorecards through 3 rounds, because the 4th obviously hadn't ended. So through 3 rounds. 2 judges scored round 1 for Petr. 1 judge scored round 1 for Aljo. I don't know what they were watching. And then 2 judges, and then all 3 judges scored the 2nd round for Aljo. And then 2 judges scored round 3 for Yan. And then the other judge that gave the first 2 rounds to Aljo gave the third round to Yan.
And
So all 3 agreed. Round 3 went to Yan, and then they were split after. So one judge had Aljo winning through 3 rounds. I have no, sure, maybe you can make the case on it being a 2-1 Yan, but 2-1 Sterling. Dude, the guy was, at a certain point, if you're going for that many takedown attempts and you're not landing jack, that's got to work against you. Yan had went 7 for 7, and it was effortless. This guy was just kicking the back of Aljo's leg, and he was just plopping down. And then obviously he wasn't really entertaining going to the ground with him, but kicked him a little bit after. To me, that it just felt like more of a message that Yan was sending, was like, oh, you think you're the guy that's supposed to be the one that's going to work the ground game and take me down? Look how easily I'm going to take you down. I'm not going to go down there, but look at how easily I can take you down. Well, 7 for 7 versus 1 for 17.
There were
we thought we were making fun of Room last time for his efforts.
The continuous takedown that never ends.
Caceres. Yeah, 1 for 17, and somehow he's up 2-1. Yeah, he did outstrike him.
That's what I was going to get at.
I didn't feel like his strikes were impactful by any means, though.
But that's what I'm going to get at, because that seems to be what everybody who's defending Aljamain, at least defending the scorecards in favor of Aljamain, are saying. They're saying, oh, look, he was outstriking Petr. And I'm like, but again, we've had this conversation before. That's not the only thing that matters. If that were the only thing that matters, we'd be watching boxing. We wouldn't be watching MMA. There was way more control time, way more takedowns, way more takedown defense on the part of Petr Yan. And I don't see how, I do see it, and it's very frustrating, but, I think this is another one of those biased things where, similar to Adesanya, you want Aljamain Sterling to win for whatever XYZ reason. And it doesn't matter that Petr Yan was clearly outfighting him. That's just what people's biases are going to speak towards. So, because again, just looking at the stats towards the end of, at the end of the fight, Petr had that. I don't know how you would score it the way you scored it. Even if, fine, give Sterling a, round 1, let's say, it doesn't matter. He had the other rounds. Yeah,
that 4th round for sure. I couldn't have imagined those 3 refs, the 3 judges, not being in consensus that Yan had that 4th round. It was very clear. Sterling looked like he was about to fall down. He had nothing left in the tank as well.
So the way I got this down here is going into the second, he started to look a little bit wobbly. And Yan was definitely outshining him in terms of the TD defense. That was incredible. Round 1, actually, where there were a bunch of takedowns by Yan. Sterling had some solid knees that he was throwing in there. But yeah, round 3 was interesting for me, because I got down here that I think Yan could have actually finished it, and it looked like he backed up a couple times just to sort of like, going back to what you were saying, it seemed like he was just trying to goad Sterling, and it's like, well, why, dude? He could have probably finished it in the 3rd. It looked like there were moments. It just seemed like he was being mean and trying to bleed him. So I don't know, man. As far as that knee, I gotta be honest. When that happened, I thought it was clean. And unfortunately, we couldn't see anything but I think there were 2 angles that they were showing, one from the top and one from a different side view, but there was no clean shot of Sterling's knee. And over the past couple of days, some photos have come out that are showing possibly that his knee was off the ground prior to the knee by like that much. So I mean, if that's the case, man, I don't know how you could call it illegal. And these aren't official UFC photos. I think they're from I don't want to say they're from a media source that was there. A photographer snapped it at just the right time. He's got 2 actually, one prior to the knee connecting and then one post the knee connecting, which even shows that he may not have taken a direct hit to the face either. It looks like he may have gotten hit on the glove, but it's hard to tell because the video angles were a little bit screwy, and at least from those 2 pictures, it looks like there may actually not have been an illegal knee. And there may not have been a knee that fully cleanly landed either. So
the initial angle that we were seeing that they kept showing, where we were like, well, was his knee down or not? The camera was showing the left side of Sterling, so it was his right knee that was the one that would have been on the ground.
Yeah.
And then when they did finally show it, to me, it looked like, his knee was down. So for me, I was like, you're not supposed to hit him. You're not supposed to knee them when they're down. So I knew that, he's not going to. I knew he was going to get disqualified, but I didn't know what the rules were. And obviously not these two guys, the fighters, didn't know what the rule was in that case too. Like, so what happens with the title? Like, does it get vacated? Does he keep it, but we get into no contest? Does Aljamain get it? So obviously Aljamain ended up getting it. But, and then you're hearing apparently Mark Smith was saying, they were saying like the ref said, fighter is grounded, but he still blasted him. And then you're hearing, his corner told him you can hit him, knee him. So kind of a couple of different things. Because if you watch the replay, you can see there's like a half second where while Yan has Sterling kind of in that position, he kind of looks up like this really quick like that and then puts it back down. And it looks like his mouth kind of opens maybe for a second. And then there was another shot of like his corner, like, sitting like this, talking and telling him kind of what to do. And once he landed the knee, one of them was like, yes. It's like, well, you're not allowed to do that.
Well, again, the only thing that I could think of is like those photos are showing, maybe considering how low the corner is to the ground there, because they're right here.
Yeah, so the vantage point maybe couldn't tell.
They can literally see, if the knee was fully connected to the mat or not. Whereas the UFC video cam is elevated, so that's always going to look like it's fully on there. And again, those photos that came out make it look like, no, dude, his knee was like a centimeter to an inch off the ground before contact. So
let's see what happens. I mean, right after when they were talking with Dana, he said, we want to book that fight back ASAP.
Yeah.
Obviously, Yan wants to do it. Sterling said he wants to do it. And then he said he wants to do it. And then he was like tweeting stuff like to like Cejudo. He's putting pictures up with his whole, because when the fight was announced, right, he threw the belt on the ground. Yep. I was like, well, at least like he's kind of like taking it as like, I didn't truly win it. Like, I won by technicality. But then after, like, he's taking pictures, there's like videos with him in like whatever, champagne glass or whatever. And then he put out a video today, like a 25-minute video for his podcast talking about the fight. And then he's like, I had those pictures and stuff because my family was saying, like, you're still the champion now. You should take these pictures, be proud or whatever. It's like, whatever, dude. Like, that all sounds like kind of pretty convenient because my initial reaction was at least he's not being a douchebag about it. When he dropped the belt, I was like, fine, because it's not his fault. He got hit in the head, like he got kneed. Well, whatever. You're saying it looks like he maybe didn't, but from my vantage point, it looks like he got a clear shot to the head illegally. So I'm like, yeah, technically you won. And I guess technically the rules suggest that in this case, in a title fight, you get the belt, because this is the first time this has ever happened where a title fight had a belt transferred in this fashion. So yeah, if those are the rules and those are the rules, and yes, you're technically the champion. But he was giving Yan crap, calling him the paper champion because he kind of had an easy path to his title, and he fought for a vacated belt. He didn't take on the incumbent champion, who was Cejudo, prior to his vacating it. So it's like, if he was a paper champion for that, what the hell are you?
Yeah.
Like paper light. Like, I have no idea at that point what you could be called. And he acknowledged it in that video that he posted today. He's like, I don't truly feel like a champion. It's like, well, you shouldn't. You're technically a champion, and not because you outfought him. Because he did something he should not have done. Again, that's how it looked in my eyes, that it was not a legal hit. So the decision, the results, the outcome of the fight, I agree with. I didn't know that was the rule in terms of belt transfer. If that is the rule, then that's the rule. But you got to run that back, man. Because again, let's say he did that. If Yan did that and he was like, not looking good that fight, like he was down 3-0 at that point, then you could make a case, well, he blasted him in the head, illegal shot. He's not getting a title fight again. He already was losing that fight. But he was, I think most people, probably Dana as well, would be like, he was ahead of that fight. So given that, we're going to rebook it, and they both fighters want it. Dana wants it. Just a matter of when is it going to be. Maybe, I don't know, maybe after June is my guess, something like that.
Either way, it needs to happen quick. So, because this needs to get resolved, man. This brought up a lot of questions, and we'll see.
And that division already is stacked up the gill.
Oh yeah.
It is a very, very heavy division with a lot of talent, and Cejudo's has been flirting annoyingly, and flirted again last night or the day before. about making his return. So that would just add even more moving pieces. TJ Dillashaw is still going to come back. Everyone's calling him out. You had Munoz win last week. You have Sean O'Malley coming up. Not that he's ranked, but you have all these guys that are very talented in a stacked division. And then you have the championship status, which technically has a champion, but like with a question mark on it. So it's like, yeah. And I think probably Dana understands that too. He didn't go into it at this depth, but he said, we want to book that ASAP. So hopefully it can be ASAP. I think May could be the earliest possibility because it seems like May doesn't quite have an event yet. I think April and June are kind of set, but I don't think there's anything for May because, again, they were talking to Dana about that yesterday. They asked him, hey, what's going on in May? He's like, we don't have anything. He's like, I don't have anything to tell you, but we'll be fine. Let me see if I can find anything right now while we're on it. So you have Stipe obviously coming up. Oh, it looks like I think the UFC 261 is going to be with Shevchenko and Andrade, so she's going to defend her title. I don't see June's posted yet, so I guess they were just talking about it. I'm looking at UFC's website. So we'll see. Hopefully that gets booked sometime soon, but that was an unfortunate ending because that fight was thoroughly entertaining. I was very happy with how it was going, and then that he did that. So that was our title fights. And then our second fight of the main event was Makhachev and Drew Dober. Again, I don't think got to go too much into this. Islam just completely dominated.
That round one armbar was incredible, man.
Yeah. It just happened. You're like, oh my gosh, is this going to end? And then the round ends. You're like, holy crap.
Yeah, dude, it was really close. And I think we all jumped up at that point. And even though he didn't get that armbar, the takedowns in round two were incredible as well. And he got that leg hook in the second takedown that he got. Mm-hmm. He kind of hooked the leg, and that led into that round three arm triangle, man. So
yeah, 9 minutes 26 seconds of control time. Drew had 10 significant strikes. I don't know, man. That was he's got to get a more talented opponent. Like, not that Drew is not talented, but Makhachev. The only thing I was kind of thinking, like, dude, Makhachev hasn't fought in like well over a year. Is there any possibility he looks kind of sluggish? No.
September 7th, 2019.
Yeah. So he called out. He asked for Tony Ferguson after the fight. Then they asked Dana after, hey, what do you think about Makhachev? And Tony's like, man, that could be a fun fight. But that was about it. He didn't go into it too much. He looked great, man. He was very dominant. But yeah, you got to get him more competitive fighter. And hopefully he can be more active again. This is, like, if I'm not mistaken, another one of the fighters represented by Ali Abdelaziz. So they sometimes have some questionable looking things happen with them and their timing and their pulling out and their injuries and all that. So let's see what happens next. But ideally, he gets someone a little bit closer to his talent level. Well, again, Drew was riding a winning streak, I think, going into this, but didn't work out.
Sorry, Drew.
Yeah. And the very disappointing opener to the main card that we were both very excited about. And I don't know. I think maybe I said I was cautiously excited about this. I don't know, but I was worried what happened was possibly going to happen. Thiago Santos, Aleksandar Rakic, a light heavyweight, possible number one. Like, the winner of this. Who knows? Who knows what they do if Yan wants that much time off? Maybe they make the winner of this fight Teixeira, and then the winner of that fights Yan. Who knows? But I think, obviously, the winner of this was Rakic, so you would assume this puts him as next in line, or maybe like an alternate should Teixeira and Yan get booked and one of them's hurt. Maybe he's the alternate. Again, who knows how that'll pan out, but Jesus, was this fight boring as hell.
I mean, besides it being boring, I picked Santos as one of my picks the last week when we were talking, and I feel like maybe I had a hand in him losing, because when we actually got to placing our Mountain Dews on the line, I flipped real quick, man. I'm like, you know what? I don't think that's a good option anymore. But it sucks, dude. He looked kind of ragged. He looked a little. You could tell he's getting old. So he was slow. Rocket. Excuse me. It's Rocket, right?
Yeah. Actually, I think he does. I think his fighting name is actually Rocket.
No, it's not. Get out of here.
I think it is.
Oh my god!
Because I remember I was watching one of the embedded, and he's like, "This is why they call me the Rocket."
Either way, no, I don't see it.
Yeah,
Anyways,
the Rocket.
Oh my god! All right, so I was right, unintentionally correct. But sorry, hold on. What I was getting at was that he wasn't really doing much either. I didn't feel like there was much action that entire fight. They were both playing it really slow and safe. And I remember us, the fight ending and us looking at each other going, how do we even score any of this?
Yeah, I didn't know. So we had Rakic and so we have 28-29, 28-29. One judge gave it 30-27. It didn't seem like that definitive to me, but again, I don't know.
I don't think so.
You look at the significant strikes too, again, for 205 pounders and the highly ranked 205 pounders, 49 significant strikes for Santos through 15 minutes and 36 for Rakic through 15 minutes. You have an average of 3 versus an average of 4 strikes a minute. I don't know, man. And they were, again, not even impactful.
No.
There was that no moment that I felt, oh my gosh, this fight is about to end. Someone's rocked. He's hurt. He's hurt there.
Trademark.
Nothing at all. Yeah. 2.5 minutes of control time for Rakic. I don't know. It was probably clinches because he didn't get him down. So boring fight. That was a very disappointing start to the main card.
Yeah, it was.
The main card overall, I liked. The Makhachev wasn't a good fight. It was a good performance by Makhachev. Drew didn't do anything. The Yan fight, I thoroughly enjoyed. You did as well. Nunes, again, not a good fight, but a fantastic performance by Nunes. And then Blachowicz and Adesanya, excellent fight. So given that, I don't know how I scored the main card for me. Maybe a 6.5, 7 out of 10. I was kind of, I wasn't underwhelmed. I wasn't underwhelmed, but I wasn't, again, on paper, it looked better than how I think it ended up.
I'll give it
holistically.
I'll give it a 7, a solid 7, maybe a soft 8.
Yeah. However, the prelims I thought were absolutely fantastic. Again, seemingly as usual. For me, I have to start keeping a tally at this point. How often I feel like the prelims are outperforming the main card. It seems like it's been several straight events now, so I don't know definitively, so I don't want to say it right off the top of my head. But it's been multiple times we've looked at each other after the event ended and we're like, the prelims are better than the main event.
Well, I mean, especially
a couple of ones
considering
that I want to highlight. Yeah.
Well, sorry, go for it. No, go for it.
Go ahead.
You're leading.
The headliner of that was leading into it. That was Cruz versus Kenny. That was a good fight, man. It was went the distance. Cruz, how old is he? 36. His last fight was last year against Cejudo. I think it's been almost a year, maybe about 10 months since that last fight. And then before that, I think he hadn't fought since 2016 or something. So given his age, given the inactivity, and he was fighting someone that was kind of an up-and-comer, regarded as an possible up-and-comer in the division. And I won't say he took care of him, but he did win. And then just given his age and everything, the injuries he's had, props to him.
For sure.
What's next? I don't know. He had this weird call out with the monster guy, so I don't know if he plans on kind of continuing to fight or not, but still a good win for him. And look at this. We have bantamweights went the distance. You have 89 strikes for Cruz, 74 for Kenny. And the big boys, the 205s, had nothing compared to that. Combined, I think they had less strikes than Cruz alone. Yeah, which is pathetic. But I thought that was a good fight. There was plenty more. We'll go into those two. But what did you think about that one? And what was some of the other ones you wanted to kind of highlight?
I apparently forgot to take notes on that one because I don't see anything on here.
We were chatting more through this one because we were upset by the result of. Well, you were happy about the result of Phillips. We were upset about that result with Song Yadong. But yeah.
I mean, look, I had taken Kenny as my pick. And even though he didn't really come through, I think that the fight overall was pretty decent. You pretty much said it all. Dominic Cruz showed that he's the man. He's going to be continuing to move up the rankings. So there's still some gas left in the tank. I think that was kind of the question people were wondering. He was a slight underdog coming into this fight. Yes. First time he fought on a prelim, I think it was in 7 years or 6 years or something, and first non-title fight in about the same time. So it's obviously a very well decorated athlete, a fighter. Took a headlining prelim fight and he won. So again, what he wants to do after this, I don't know. He's obviously still doing his UFC stuff. Well, unless he gets in trouble for what he said after about Monster, but.
Good for him.
I don't even think, just on that note, I don't think he said anything specifically about Monster. I think it was about their the head of their MMA division or whatever.
Something. I don't know what the guy's title is, but he was saying, oh, yeah, it wasn't about the company itself, but about that guy.
Yeah, because apparently that guy wants fighters to post directly onto his social media, not onto the Monster social media. Like, that dude wants fighters talking about that dude, which Cruz has a problem with. I mean, I probably have a problem with it too. Like, dude, what the hell what do you have to do with your company? You know, so I could see it. The call out is weird. Maybe he got rung pretty decently. It was like, I need to say stuff.
Maybe he was concussed.
Yeah, but it was. I don't know. I mean, people say weird stuff all the time, man. Maybe it's just like, this is the chance I have to say it. Maybe people look into it or something. I don't know. But I don't think he said anything directly about Monster itself, which was interesting.
No, it was just that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dana is saying, like, Dana was, CYAing himself. He's like, oh no, the company's great and they're a nice company to work. Like, yeah, okay, Dana, like, you're doing your job, right? But
there's the promoter side of him.
Oh, totally not.
That was that one. We had Phillips Yadong was a good fight. You had Phillips, I had Yadong. Good performance. That ended a 7-fight win streak for Yadong, something like that. I agree with the scoring. 29-28 Phillips I thought was accurate. So good call there.
Yes, I thought so as well. I mean, I had taken Phillips based on his performance in his last fight, and I'm happy that he just didn't disappoint, man, because Yadong's a scary guy, watching him fight too. He hits, man. He hits hard. He's not a joke. He's not a chump. But those high kicks that Phillips were throwing out were freaking disastrous, man. Like, you could tell those were rocking Yadong, and he didn't really know what to do. It looked like he was calculating the entire time, and I think you had mentioned it. It almost looked like he had no output. There was no power behind his strikes, which is so strange considering how he fought previously. So I think maybe Phillips put him on the wrong foot and kind of had him second guessing himself. Maybe he didn't want to engage at the distance that he needed to, because he thought, if I try to move in again, I might get rocked in the dome again. I don't know. That could be what happened there. And it looked like he was scared to go to the ground as well. And as soon as Phillips would pop up, when Phillips jumped up on top of him, he looked like he was just flailing, man. It didn't even look like it was like a controlled effort.
Have that ground ability, and no. I think his corner was saying get off the ground or something. I think the commentators were saying, like, his corner's telling him, like, get up, don't stay down. That may have been a different fight, but I feel like they were mentioning that for him.
I mean, if that's the case, then I can see it, because the way he was trying to get out of the ground position was hilarious, man.
Fish out of water.
Yeah, he was throwing arms and legs every which direction. It didn't look like anything was planned. It was just, I got to get out of here right now.
Yeah.
So.
And again, these are another two set of guys in the bantamweight division. Cruz and Kenny are as well. So those two fights, those four guys, again, just to continue bolstering the fact that most of the argument of that division is one of the best. You could argue the best currently among the ones that they have for the men. And prior to that, the fight that I was looking forward to that was underwhelming as a fight, as a performance, it was good, was Osgarov and Benavidez. Osgarov did exactly what I thought he would do. Benavidez didn't look great, in my opinion.
No,
Osgarov was pretty dominant for the most part. Again, another one of those where he wasn't doing too much when he had him down, but he had him down there, and Benavidez wasn't really defending it. I think we may have discussed, or I may have just put it on our Twitter, that I thought this maybe was like a retirement fight for Benavidez. Like, if he loses, depending how he loses, maybe they don't bring him back, because he had 2 straight title fights against Figueiredo. First one, I don't remember if there was a no contest or if they gave him the win, but Figueiredo came in overweight. And Figueiredo won, though. Actually, no, Figueiredo won. He came in overweight, but he didn't get the belt. They did a rematch. Figueiredo messed him up again. And then after that fight, Benavidez said, I'm pretty sure I'm probably not going to be in contention for title fights anymore. So when he said that, I was thinking already maybe he's going to retire, but then he didn't. This got booked. Osgarov is an up and comer in that, like, probably the next title fight after this Moreno and Figueiredo, I would assume would be Osgarov if he doesn't fight anyone else, unless they want to match him up with someone else. But Osgarov looked good. He's looked good his last couple fights. I remember seeing him then, and he pretty much just continued where he had left off in the prior fights.
I mean, I had taken Benavidez as my pick based on his past fight performance, and that didn't materialize for this one, man. I was actually kind of stunned watching him fight. He looked slow. He wasn't really doing anything. And then to counter that, Osgarov is so precise and targeted, man. It's like a laser guided, Russian missile system. What are you going to do against that, man? And I
was telling you during the fight, he looked so calm, Osgarov.
Yeah,
he looked so calm. He didn't look one slight hint of concern at any point. His movement was very deliberate. It was like a casual event for him. He was just kind of going about his day, clocked in, clocked out. The one judge gave it 30-26. I actually agreed with that. I thought there was a 10-8 in there. Yeah, 30-27, 30-27, 30-26. Quite a generous amount of 10-8s this event. I would say this one was a justified one. And there's still at least one more that we're going to get to. But that one, I agreed with that. Good performance by Osgarov. Curious to see how they do it with him. If they're going to have him wait for the winner of Figueiredo and Moreno, or what?
Aside from that, am I wrong here in seeing Demetrius Johnson is ranked number 2 in men's flyweight?
No, Demetrius Johnson's not. Demetrius Johnson is at 1 in Singapore now. He's been there for some time. He used to be the champion for quite a while, and then Cejudo beat him. I'm not sure what site are you using.
I'm on ESPN. Okay, I see it. Promotion 1 championship. Why do they have him in the same list? It is bizarre.
Maybe it's like an overall flyweight ranking or something.
Maybe. Either way, ESPN is poo-poo.
ESPN sucks, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm looking at this going, wait a minute, what the hell is this? Like, okay. That makes sense now. Sorry. I'm a casual.
All good. Yeah. That's true. So we had the prelim portion, not the early prelim, but the prelims was 2 bantams and 2 flyweights. I thought each one of these fights was great. The shortest one, and the one we'll get to now, the first of the prelims, was Kai Kara-France versus Rogerio Bontorin. Short fight. I said good fight. I'll stick with good fight because Bontorin was kind of controlling that entire first round. And we both had Kai Kara-France. I had Kai Kara straight with some amount to do on it, and I was panicking. We were on our Uber to our bar that we were going to watch the fight.
Yep.
And we were in the backseat, like holding the phone, watching it. And we're just looking, and I remember, I think I said, or we just looked at each other and said, let's just hope he gets out of the first round. I'm like, he lost that round. Let's hope he just escapes this round somehow and doesn't get submitted, because he was on his back.
He was getting
Rogerio had him down. He was fighting him off. I mean, he was fighting off his attempts, but I don't remember how he slipped out of that. I can't remember how that developed, but he ends up on his feet. And we're like, all right, he's out of there. He should probably be able to get out of the round. He didn't need to. He knocked him out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Completely out of nowhere.
I mean, I got really
landed a couple shots, and then the way Rogerio went down, and the way he kind of bounced back up, I was like, wait, is he out? Is he not? Because it was a buzzer beater, right? What was the 4:55?
It was 4:55.
5 seconds to spare.
So the interesting part about this is, like, I'm growing a huge hate for Twitter, like, as if I didn't hate it enough, but just watching some of the comments people make on it drives me bananas, because there were people saying, like, oh, why is he walking away? Why is he walking away? Like, the fight wasn't over. He shouldn't be walking away. And then you look at photos of Bontorin's head on the mat.
It's like this.
Dude, it was completely inverted, upside. It looked like he may have snapped his neck, and you're like, okay, dude.
Yeah.
That's why Kai Kara-France was walking away, because he's like, oh shit, I killed this guy. You know,
exactly.
There was no need to have
He's
the ref
looking for the
stop that.
police.
He looked dead. So, and of course, I think that's Herb over there ran in and just ended it right there. There was no continuing that. I completely agree with the stoppage. I don't think that could have continued. So
it was a big win for him, because his last fight he fought Brandon Royval. And that was also a short fight, but it was cool. But if I'm not mistaken, he got submitted by Brandon. But I liked how he looked in that fight, so I was excited to see this. And the flyweights again can be they're generally kind of exciting now, since they're kind of revival of this division. So I was looking forward to this one. I was also looking forward to Osgarov, but he didn't disappoint in his performance.
Speaking of exciting, do we want to talk about the assault with a mouthpiece, mouth guard?
Oh yeah. I saw because we were like high fiving each other, this and that, and then I think you guys kind of. Because you guys were in the backseat, I think you guys kind of started talking, and I was like, "Wait, he just threw something at him. I think he threw his mouthpiece." Yeah, and then
I'm
looking at it was too happy, like running around celebrating. I think he may have probably missed him too. He probably didn't realize. And initially, I was confused, and then when it showed everything again, you see that so Kai gets him right. He falls down, and then Herb kind of runs in. Herb was kind of non-committal. He kind of did this weird little dance. Stepped in. Rogerio gets back up. Kind of was trying to go to him. Herb was already stopping him. Kai's running around. Well, and then I don't know why Kai for a second seemed confused. He's like, "Oh wait, maybe the fight didn't end." Rogerio went back on the ground, and then Kai comes up with a hammer about to hit him, and then Herb's like, "No," and then he stopped, and he started running around again. And I think that may have pissed off Rogerio. Like, "What the hell are you doing? The fight's done. You're coming with your hand up over me." So he stood up, grabbed the mouthpiece, and just threw it at him.
There's no question the fight was done, because especially watching Bontorin try to stand up. It informs you of all you need to know. He literally stumbles and Herb has to catch him.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I couldn't tell initially, but then when I got another rewatch, I was like, "Oh yeah, that good stoppage by Herb." Yeah,
no, that had to be stopped, dude. That was it, because he would have been murdered on the spot.
Yeah, very quick fight, but very exciting, and that was cool. I like that one.
Yes.
So that was the first leg of the prelims. The early prelims were headlined by Tim Elliott versus Jordan Espinosa. This fight was boring as hell. You enjoyed this fight a lot.
Yeah, I did, man. Tim Elliott is freaking vicious, dude. Vicious, man. I don't know how you thought it was boring, because there was some.
I think you just got really into the fact that he was smudging his blood into Espinosa.
That was in the third. But what I found fascinating was there were two high kicks. By Espinosa, I believe, and Elliott dodged both of those and took him down as a result.
I think I called this. Yeah.
The ground control that Elliott demonstrated was just insane, dude.
It's a 15-minute fight.
It's not.
He had 13 minutes and 19 seconds of control.
So yeah, you say this is boring, but like we've talked about, I love watching grappling, man. Like, and this was dominance on a whole different level, because.
This was way too one-sided to be entertaining for me. That's kind of my point.
Well, what I liked seeing was something unconventional. I hadn't seen a lot of this being done before, and I didn't actually know this was a thing until we talked about it. But I liked seeing Tim actually rubbing his forearm into Espinosa's face and blocking his breathing. Just sort of, it looked like he was just making things as horrible as humanly possible for Espinosa. Knowing that he couldn't get off of him. Would it have been cool to see some submission attempts? Yeah, that would have been pretty sweet, but seeing that I thought was kind of interesting, because I hadn't seen anything like that before. I didn't even know you could do that. And then we get into that third round, and dude, the guy's a savage. I remember him getting out, we were looking at him going like, who's this crackhead? You know what I mean? And I had taken him as my pick, and watching him act like a crackhead in the third round was incredible, because he got cut by Espinosa and then was like, you know what, I think what I should do now is blind him with my blood. So he starts intentionally grinding his face on Espinosa, and you could see the camera cuts to just a flood of blood entering Espinosa's eyeballs. And come on, man. How do you not find that entertaining? That was ridiculous.
This is COVID era. You can't be doing things like that.
They're all tested, man. Come on. It's all good. I'd be more concerned about
that. I heard, I forgot where I heard this. Was it on I don't know where I heard this, but it was during the press conference. They were asking, a reporter asked Dana this. Apparently someone had, like, on Facebook had messaged Tim Elliott or something saying that Jordan Espinosa had beat his wife or something.
Well, I heard about this as well.
Yeah, and then I think Tim Elliott was like, well, I think like maybe that's why he was like rubbing his blood in his eye. I don't know. They asked Dana about that. They're like, are you going to look into this? And Dana's like, it's the first I'm hearing of it. And I don't know if it is, but That was kind of interesting to hear. I hadn't heard anything about that up to that, but that could maybe explain a little bit of the viciousness that Tim was displaying.
It's possible, man. I mean, because I can imagine if that was the case, then maybe he's got something in his past that threw up some red flags for him. He starts seeing red in his eye. Either way, I didn't.
Red in his eye, put red in his eye.
Yeah, I mean, either way though, I don't think the scoring was accurate because this one was another doozy, man. 30-25.
Yeah, it's funny because you go from 30-27, 30-27. So you have two judges that say 10-9, 10-9, 10-9. You have one judge that went 10-8, 10-8, 10-9. I think you could definitely throw in the 10-8 in there.
Yeah,
two 10-8s, I don't know about that.
I
no
don't see
10-8s,
that,
I also don't know about that. I think 30-26 was more accurate for this fight. But again, it just shows like sometimes you're like they're sitting next to each other, or I don't know where these guys are. But you wonder, it's like, how are you guys watching the same thing? Because they're sometimes so far off. You have like a 29-28, and then you have a 30-27 for the complete opposite for the guy that got 28. Someone else says he was 30. It's very bizarre. Didn't happen on this card, but it's happened on a couple that we've seen. It's just weird. So
I mean, these guys
was
just as weird as anything else, though. I mean, like, I did not see a 30-25 there, and I mean, even a 30-26 is like you beat the guy to a pulp. So what does a 30-25 mean? Like you consumed his essence. Like he's no longer what? Like he's just a husk
you bleed
now?
in his eye. You bleed in his eye intentionally. You get two 10-8s.
Yeah, I don't know about these judges are strange, dude, but I don't see a 30-25 there. 30-26, like you said, I think is valid. So
yeah. That leads us to our fight of the night per the UFC. These two guys got $50K each. Kennedy Chechukwu, I think I got that right, and Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg picks up his first loss. Teammates, if I'm not mistaken, I think he trains out of City Kickboxing with along with Kai Kara-France and Adesanya. They all three, I believe, are out of there. This was kind of a weird fight. Not weird, but as we were watching, we're like, neither of these two guys really look like there's any form. It's just like rock'em sock'em robots. They're just hitting each other.
Ulberg,
looking at the strikes. What's that?
Ulberg, I thought, looked decent in the first round. I mean, you could tell that he trains with Adesanya, and then it all kind of fell to crap in the second.
They both got tired.
They were both exhausted for sure. And then I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but the African Savage, he had this thing that he was doing the entire time. And I'm looking at it going, what is this? What is this guard here? Because it looked like he basically just didn't want to get hit and look for the right opportunity to catch Ulberg slipping. And I mean, that's basically exactly what happened. But it was just bizarre to me because I'm like, dude, this is all you're doing. You're not doing anything else.
He was very inactive that first couple of minutes. I remember watching him like, dude, do something. He was just getting hit and getting hit and getting hit. He was not responding at all. And then he finally kind of started to end the round one that is. And the second round, he was more active. So the numbers ended this way. These are insane numbers for Ulberg, which is kind of crappy for him that he lost.
Yeah.
Significant strikes, 146 out of 227. He threw 227 strikes in a little over 8 minutes. That's nuts. And then you go on the other side, you have 82 significant strikes, still a lot for not even 2 full rounds, out of 148. So the number of strikes attempted by Kennedy were almost the equivalent of the number landed for Carlos. But ultimately, Carlos lost. And why is that? Just Kennedy got him. And then he just plopped to the ground. And that was a turn of events because it was like, whoa, dude, it looked like you were going to possibly lose this fight in the first round. Second round, you made it a little bit more level. And then he just caught him and he went to sleep.
That must have been a strategy, man. Because, again, the way he was fighting didn't look to me as if there was any other plan. It was just, okay, I'm going to catch your chin. I'm going to get it. There it is. And
yeah.
And I'm glad I took him as my pick, man, because hopefully he'll refine his fighting style a little bit more. Maybe we'll see him, we'll see him evolve a bit, get better.
A little more technically sound.
A little bit more, yeah, because it looked a little sloppy. It definitely looked a little sloppy for both of them. But I think credit to Ulberg, man. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think there's definitely potential there. And, just get into the gym more. You should be spending every single waking second of your life in the gym.
I agree. I think both those guys, they possibly have something there, but I would say Chetruku a little bit more. He looked like a more raw prospect, the way he fought this fight. I'm not saying overall this fight, because again, we just said it. We were saying it during it too. Like this, it just seems like he's just throwing it out there. I don't know, but so fight of the night. I don't know about fight of the night, but definitely it was an entertaining fight. Both men were doing something. It wasn't lopsided.
I'm surprised actually, because I thought fight of the night may have ended up going to, and it makes, in retrospect, I get why it wouldn't, but the Yan and Sterling was definitely a shoe-in for that one, man.
It's interesting. All of the bonuses went to the undercard. No one on the main card got a bonus.
Maybe they didn't need the
money. It
went
to Kennedy and Carlos got fight of the night.
I think Brady, right?
Brady did he get performance of the night?
I don't know.
Brady, maybe. I don't know. None of these names. Oh, Kai Kara-France got performance of the night, and maybe Sean Brady. I don't remember. That leads us to Sean Brady, but I think those are the ones I think. So, I mean, this fight was kind of nuts too.
Yes, it was, man.
Sean Brady, man, that guy was terrifying.
Another one of my picks, baby.
I hadn't seen Sean Brady fight. I had seen Jake, and mind you, Jake Matthews is also a pretty scary dude.
Oh yeah, I
had seen him fight. So I was thinking, well, I haven't seen Sean Brady fight. Yeah, he's 13-0. Not saying that he wasn't good. I had never seen him, but I was like, Jake Matthews, because he was kind of a decent underdog. He was like plus 180 or something. I was like, damn, man, how good is this Sean Brady guy that they have Jake Matthews at plus 180? And Sean Brady showed. He showed why.
No, he absolutely dominated, man. And to say that, like, I expected it, maybe a bit of an overstatement, but I definitely thought Brady was going to perform, and I wasn't disappointed, man, because the ground control that he had in rounds 1 and 2 were excellent. His round 2 takedown was excellent. The way he was keeping Matthews' neck locked up was excellent. And then in round 3, you get that arm triangle where Matthews' eyes literally roll back into the back of his head. And he just showed himself to be a very technical fighter, which I like. And I don't know, man. I don't know what else to say. I'll just start gushing about the guy if I continue. So
tomorrow the rankings come out. I would be surprised if this guy does not crack into the top 15 of the welterweight. And he said he would like a top 15 guy next. I think he will probably get it.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let's see. What are we looking at in the welterweights? So the bottom of the welterweights, who do we have? We have towards the bottom, Robbie Lawler will probably get bounced out, I would assume. Khamzat Chimaev, maybe he gets dropped down to 15, or maybe he bounces out of the rankings. And then you have Bilal Muhammad, who's going to be fighting Leon Edwards this coming weekend. Bilal's at 13. You have Li Jianliang at 12, Jeff Neal at 11, Luque at 10. Luque's already got a fight coming up. Mm-hmm. So Jeff Neal just lost to, not just, but towards the end of the December, he lost to Stephen Thompson. So I don't know, maybe they give him Li Jianliang. It's not going to be Khamzat. I don't think it's going to be Robbie Lawler. I think he's going to drop off. So I don't know. I don't know what they do with him here now. Looking at this, I don't know. It's kind of a little weird situation down there, but he definitely showed that he's a force to be reckoned with, to say the least. Very dominating. And I was looking for this quote that I had written by Joe, this gem of a thing he said when he was, I think it was when he was choking him out. Yeah, he choked him out, and they were doing like a voice, like they were commentating on it again, like on the replay. And Joe's all like, look at the back on this gorilla. We were started cracking up, but you see, everything's like bulging out while he's choking him. I don't remember if he was choking him or if he was just on top. I think he maybe was. But yeah, scary dude. I look forward to him fighting and hopefully fighting soon, because there's something there, man. That guy was
absolutely
scary.
Dude. Absolutely.
We had a fight right before that, Souza versus Amanda Limos. I was in the bathroom for most of this, but I was watching it in the bathroom. Two good knockdown punches. He knocked her down twice, if I'm not mistaken. Her, as in Limos, knocked down Souza with a couple of punches, and they were vicious. And then got a quick TKO, easy, punched in, punched out, literally.
I'm honestly surprised you guys picked Souza against me, man. Because going into this, I told you guys up front, you need to take Limos.
I don't remember who I picked on this one. I don't remember like two of my picks. Overall, I didn't do well. Again, I did either 7 for 15, I think, or 8 for 15. You did 11 for 15. The three shows that we've done so far, these past 3 events, I have done very terribly. I went 4 for 12, 4 for 9, and now either 7 of 15 or 8 of 15. I don't remember because I couldn't remember who I picked. But you've been nailing them, and you had some good Mountain Dew scored as well. So I don't remember if I had picked Souza or Limos in this one, but
Limos is an absolute monster, dude. She's not a joke. I mean, as far as this fight goes, I feel like she completely dominated, and she made Souza look timid. She looked like she was just trapped and she desperately trying to escape.
I think DC highlighted like a moment, like zoomed in on her face, and he kind of put a square around her. She's like, look at her eyes.
yeah. That's exactly what he did, man. But because you could see it, like the fear was palpable, dude.
Yeah.
I'd be terrified too if I was locked in a cage with Limos, man.
Yeah. So quick work for her.
Oh yeah,
good for her. Let's see where she goes from there. Before that, we had a lightweight matchup: Uros Medic versus Alam Cruz.
A slight correction to what I was saying earlier. This is the one that got another bonus. It wasn't the Brady fight. It was this one.
You're right. Yeah, I said Sean. We said Sean Brady. Yeah, it was Uros Medic. This one was. I remember we were. Who was the ref on this? Was it Mark? It was Mark Smith.
It was Mark. Yeah.
This fight went on it ended a minute 40 into round 1. This fight probably could have ended about a minute in. There was like a lot of extra time wasted. But Alam Cruz was just getting destroyed. It looked pretty clear to me that he couldn't stand up. I think, and you could hear DC and Rogan especially like, end this fight.
You need to end this fight. Yeah, no, there was no need for Cruz to take the amount of abuse that he did towards the end there. It was just completely unnecessary, and it makes me question, man, like what goes through these guys' heads sometimes, because like Mark's looking at this and what is he thinking? You know,
Mark was like literally in there. He was like he was completely in looking. I'm like, what are you looking for? Like gold to sprout? He's getting destroyed. Call the damn thing, man. Holy crap! And then he let him go. They let him go. He tries to stand up. He couldn't stand up. He was just kind of like he looked like the inflatable guy out of the car wash. He just no movement, no spine. He couldn't get up.
Well, and I'm watching the replay right now. Like the only thing that I could say in Mark's defense is maybe because he kept moving. That's why he didn't call it. But he wasn't doing anything.
Having a stroke.
Dude, all he was doing was this, and then he stood up a couple times, kept trying to stand up, but there was no. Like he didn't look there. It didn't look like his brain was connected to his body.
No.
It looked like it was just sort of like an auto response move. Like I don't know, man. That was completely unnecessary. But I'm glad I took Medic as my pick.
Yeah, I had taken Cruz. So I believe I started either 0 for 2 or 0 for 3 to start this event. Actually, maybe 0 for 4 or 1 for 4. Because again, I don't remember who I picked between Souza and Limos. I had picked Mario Batista, and we'll talk about that fight right now. That's the last fight we're going to discuss. I had picked Alam Cruz, and I had also picked Jake Matthews. None of those were. Oh, and I also picked Carlos Ulberg. So all of those fights I had gotten wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. I got the entire early prelim wrong. I picked Jordan Espinosa, Carlos Ulberg, Jake Matthews. I don't remember who I picked between Souza Limos. I picked Alam Cruz, and I picked Mario Batista.
I totally slipped up on that first fight. I completely missed it. I don't even know how. But yeah, I didn't even see that one. Unfortunately, I missed that.
The Batista Trevin Jones.
Yeah,
I thought you were there. Were you not in the room?
I may have been doing something. I have no recollection of that.
Well,
fight.
this one, so it went into round 2. I thought Batista maybe had taken round 1. I looked at the scorecard. I believe all 3 judges actually scored round 1 to Trevor Jones, if I'm not mistaken. I have it pulled up right here. 2 judges gave it to Trevin Jones and 1 judge gave it to Mario Batista. If I'm not mistaken, this was Batista's debut. I think he won a contract from the Contender Series. I might be mistaken there, but it might have been his debut, or maybe Trevin Jones was making his debut. I don't remember. But so round 1 was close, and then round 2, Jones just got him, man. He got him with I think it was a right. I forgot what it was, but Batista just went down and the fight was done just like that. I was like, holy crap. Completely unexpected, not unexpected, but it was just so all of a sudden. I thought we maybe were going to go towards like a 3-round fight. There was a good pace. Both guys looked pretty good. And then Trevin just clocked him and he went down like a sack of taters, man.
I'm trying to catch up right now with this instant replay situation. Oh,
yeah. While you get that, I mean, they were interviewing him after too. It was funny when the fight ended. They were interviewing him. He's like, I was in the gym more. I got my eating down. I gave up marijuana. I was like, I don't know how much of a sacrifice that really was, buddy. But if you feel like it helped you get the W, good for you. And again, here's another bantamweight fight as well. This one was.
I love watching Rogan's face during that because he was kind of looking at him like, dude, it's totally legal now. I don't know why you would stop.
I don't know if you remember this. Like the first 3 of the first 4 fights, like the winners are like sucking on Joe's teeth. Like, dude, I'm so happy to be talking to you. It was like, it's weird that just that number of the first few fights. I mean, Limos doesn't speak English, so she didn't say anything. But the first, Trevin Jones said it. I believe Medic said it. Medic was like really gushing, and then Sean Brady said it too. And Joe looked kind of uncomfortable. He was just like, all right.
$100 million, man. It does a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of,
does.
I want to jump back to something real quick. Nothing to spend too long discussing, but I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't get a Osgarov interview considering his condition. But I would have thought, like, dude, at least like a
sign language or something,
sign language translator or something, because it's like, you're just gonna not interview the guy. Like,
you know what? I'm just realizing, they didn't do that, huh? Or maybe he also doesn't. I mean, I don't think it's a matter of if you want to or not. If you win, you do it. But I don't know. Maybe for him, I don't know. I can't imagine they wouldn't have someone prepared to translate.
Maybe you needed a Russian sign translator, and that was the problem.
That's a very specific niche market.
Yeah, exactly, man. Well, anybody who's listening, future job prospect out there for you. So.
Yeah, email Dana at UFC.com. Those are all the fights, man. That was overall, again, as a card in its entirety, I thought it was great. The early prelims and prelims were fantastic. Yeah, not that the main card was bad, but I just felt the prelims and early prelims just overall were better and more well-rounded collectively versus the main. The main was more lopsided. The ones that were good. The ones that weren't. And we have upcoming this weekend is going to be Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards fight night. We'll talk about that next week. Looking forward to see if this will probably go to a decision. I'm curious to see what the line is going to be on the over-under. It's going to be set at over-under 2.5, and I feel like the minus will probably be some kind of insane number. You know what? Not that I'm asking. I'm very curious because Leon Edwards goes to decision. Bilal Muhammad goes to decision. What do they have to say?
We do have. So looks like,
while I look this up, Andrew, do you have any parting thoughts on 259 or anything that you're looking forward to for the fight night coming up this weekend?
Parting thoughts, man. I just think that a lot of things need to get tightened up. Definitely the judging needs to be tightened up. The reffing needs to be figured out and maybe tightened up because there's some weirdness that happens, and it's not like we've gone for many fights without having weirdness happen. It's been fairly consistent where we're like, well, what is happening right now? Why is it being scored this way? Or why is this fight not being stopped? Or why was that fight stopped that early? It's almost non-stop. So I think this highlighted for me especially, and it definitely put it, if it wasn't, it was clearly already on Dana's radar, but I'm sure this elevated it on the priority list of like, this needs to get fixed ASAP, dude. Cause
he talked about it.
Yeah, because these judges are going to cost somebody a fight, if they haven't already. And the way the reffing is going down is going to cost somebody a fight, or it might cost somebody their freaking brain.
Like Alon Cruz.
Yeah. So that's really my takeaway from this. Fix your stuff, guys. Fix your stuff.
Yeah, Dana talked about that too. That Bilal Muhammad, Leon Edwards is a 5-rounder. So the over-under is set at 4.5, and the over is a minus 220 favorite, which, that doesn't surprise me at all. They both go the distance. Leon goes the distance. So we'll see how that fight goes. It's who knows? Maybe Leon wins that fight. Does that get him as the? I don't know what the hell they're doing between Masvidal and Usman. But and also I don't know what Del Colby's doing. We've talked about this. We have a video on it, so we'll see. We'll see what the result of that fight means for the welterweight division. What if Belal Muhammad wins? Does he go into the top 5? We'll see. We'll talk about it next week. That finishes up our kneecap for UFC 259. Andrew, thank you. Entertaining event. Not that the result we wanted on one of them, but overall went well.